So today we're going to be installing, I picked up the Escort Max 3 radar detector. I picked it up for 360 bucks. It was on 10% off on Black Friday. It's normally 400. It's, from what I could read, was the best kind of mid-priced radar detector. It's definitely not the least expensive, but it's not the priciest either. It has good range and good false alert monitoring, and it still has the little LCD display. So, and then it has GPS monitoring, works with the app. So I don't know. This is my first Escort radar detector. I've had a Cobra before, but it was also a cheap one, so we'll give this one a try. On Amazon, I purchased a kit that came with a mounting harness that will let it mount to the mirror. Stick right here. And then, since I have the power mirror, the auto dimming, and then the home link garage door openers, it actually has power coming to the mirror. So that's where we tap power off of. So there's a kit that has the mirror bracket and a little cable that lets you tap into power and then plug right into your radar detector, so that you don't have to have the cable coming down from your radar detector plugging into your cigarette lighter. And especially in the WRX, that there's no good way for that to come straight down. So I definitely wanted to go for the cleaner install. So I'm hoping all that we'll need is just a couple of the pry tools from the kit that I bought off Amazon, and a screwdriver or two. And then I also have my meter so that we can confirm that we have 12 volt power. That's what the Escort runs off of, is 12 volt power. And the nice thing is that the mirror power tap should have it's auto on and auto off. So when you turn the car on, it gives the mirror power, and when you turn it off, it shuts the power off, which is exactly how the radar detector wants to operate, because you don't want it on constantly, because then it could drain your battery overnight, or you also just don't want it running all day every day. So the first thing we're going to do, because in the 2018 model they started, the wire is actually hardwired inside the case of the mirror. If you have a 2017 or before, they actually have a little plug-in harness right here behind the mirror, and you can tap in right there. But the 2018s and onward, they hardwired it into the mirror, and then your harness where it plugs in is actually up underneath your dome lights here. So we have to take the dome lights down. Okay, so right here at the middle of the light, on the lens of the light, there is a little notch. I don't know if you can see that. There's a little notch, and we can use that to try to pry it open. You see that? It just popped right open. So let's do that on the other side. So now that just came right off. It has two little clips that are tilted in there. Now underneath we have a Phillips head screwdriver there, and one on the other side. So we'll use our Phillips and take those two screws out. Alright, there's one. and there's 2. Now, let's take our pry tool and just kind of get on an edge and try to pop the whole assembly down. There we go. Now, I started on this top side away from the windshield, pried it down, and it pulls away from the windshield. So it's kind of the same thing. There's 2 clips here that kind of rest in on the windshield side, and then it pops in towards the back seat. So I would start prying from the back seat side. So now we just need to locate the wire harness coming from the mirror. So with this all opened up, you have your power for the dome lights, which are constantly on, so that's not where we'd want to tap power, because even when the car is off, you can still turn your lights on. We're actually looking for, right here is the little harness that is the wire harness that goes down this track into your mirror. So it's got a little zip tie on it. We'll probably cut that, pull it out so we can get access to it, and we're going to try to tap our wires into that. And that's why I brought the meter, so we can confirm the 12-volt power. So right now I'm going to try to get the wire from the kit into the back of hanging out by the mirror and hanging out of the light. So we're going to try to be inside this track. So the way to get this off, you just got to slide it down, and then it slides down, and then it just pops out of that. So that's that little wire mold. We want to put that back once we have our wire running down and towards the mirror. So got the wire. It's just the RJ11 cable on the one end for the escort, and then on the other end is a positive and a negative. The positive being the black and the negative being, or the positive being the red, sorry, the negative being the black. And that's going to plug into your 12-volt power, positive and negative. So we want to get this side hanging out by the mirror and this side hanging out by the dome lights. So I'm going to pry right here, right where that wire was going in. There's a little clip, and I was able to pry just that spot, and now I have a clear path to send these wires in. Want to make sure you don't put it back in the way of the clip, that it would get pinched. Okay. So here we have our wires hanging out there, and it's hanging out here. So now we're going to want to splice it in to get our power. So the kit came with these 2 little prongs that snap in to the end of this cable. You'll have to use these, one, because it gives you that little extra 2 inches, which is actually kind of needed because this wires kit was very tight. It's going to be just enough cable, I think. And because I think it was originally made with the idea that you'd be tapping right here to the back of the screen. So it's going to be a straight shot, straight to the back of this harness. And if you'll notice, the load side, which is the side that goes to the mirror, it actually has 5 wires on it. So if you don't have a meter, it should be on the 2018, the black and white wire with the white, trying to get a good angle of it, the white being your positive lead, your red, and the black being your negative to the black. And the way that you can check this for your own vehicle is if you put these taps in, or if you have small enough probes on your multimeter, which I do not, you'll want to check the polarity of it. So now we're going to check the polarity and the voltage, make sure we're at the right terminals. So if you have a voltmeter, go ahead and take it out, set it to DC volts, which is DC is that flat line with the dotted line underneath it. And you just want to confirm that you've got your red terminal in the volt terminal and then your black in the common. So you have to have the car and accessory to be able to test this, because when the car is off, this won't have power. But I take the black probe to our black wire and our red probe to the red wire, and we should be getting 11.7 volts, and it should be a positive voltage, because now that shows us we have the right polarity. Because if we flip it, put our black to our red and red to black, it'll be the same voltage but negative. So that's the reverse polarity, and you want to make sure you have the polarity right, because that can damage your electronics and it can blow your capacitors, and you don't want to burn up your new radar detector. So like I said, if you can zoom in close, if you can see it, our black went to the black wire in the harness and our red went to the white wire. So I recommend using a voltmeter if you can. If you're brave enough to just trust that it would be the same in your car. This is a 2018 limited trim package, so I'm gonna go ahead and connect our cables, and I'm gonna throw a rapid tape around these so that they will stay together. And as you can see, even completely slammed together, there's a little gap. So I'm just gonna go ahead and throw a wrap of electrical tape around them. All right, so I threw just a quick little wrap of electrical tape around each of those connections. The wire is back in that, and I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna tuck it back towards the front, keeping our wires from crossing. It's not a big deal, just a neatness thing. And making sure that the wire is out of the way up there along the harness, along the clips, not covered by a clip. And I'm gonna pop this back into place. And now we have our wire up front that'll plug right into the radar detector, and we can go ahead and put our light back together. That just snaps right in. I'll screw in the lens covers in a second, because we probably want to confirm that we are getting the proper power. So let's go ahead and open up our case. We have the radar detector. You got your RJ11 port on the side. Go ahead, plug that in, and it doesn't turn on, which is what we want because the car's off. So let's put it in accessory. And there we go. It powers up. So that's exactly what we want. Now it's just going to be getting everything put back together. So I'm going to shut it off. Shuts off. So now we just got to put the screws back in by the lights. Don't have to get super tight with it. Just a good snug. You don't want to crack the plastic. There we go. Now to put the lens cover back on. I'm going to put it towards the window and then snap it in the back. And our lights are on. So now we're gonna put the wire mold back on. And we just have to snap the Y side into the base there. And then once we have it flat, both of our cables are in it. Just slide it up towards the headboard until it clips under there. There you have it. The wire is in. And it is connected to the back, and we have our cable hanging out. So now we just need to work on the mirror mount so that we can mount the radar detector and plug it in. So this is the mirror mount kit. It's all the pieces you'll need to mount the radar detector to the back of your mirror. This is the magnet that hooks into the top of the escort. And this little bracket just needs to swing around and tighten up around your mirror. So go ahead and loosen the one side, take that bolt out, and then behind your mirror, make sure you don't pinch any wires. Just wrap it around. And go ahead and tighten it up. Now you want to make sure it's snug so that your radar doesn't rattle around, but you also don't want to have it so tight that you crack the plastic of the mirror. So the kit came with an Allen wrench, so just go ahead and try to snug them up evenly so that the bolts are the same length. And again, you don't have to get crazy tight, just tight enough that it won't rattle around. Now you can take the radar detector, the magnet will snap in, allowing you to adjust the bracket and tighten up these two side clips once you have it adjusted the way you want. Then go ahead and plug your wire in. Like I said, it seems to be just long enough, so the kit still works even though we had to go up to the dome light instead of behind the light right here. It is a complete install. Go ahead and take the plastic protection off. And you can see the escort powers up with the car. So at the end of it, all we needed was a pry tool to take down your dome light, a Phillips head screwdriver, and pretty much everything else is just prying apart, loosening down. And when you get to the actual harness, you just have to cut that zip tie, and you have to, if you have the voltmeter, that would be ideal, just to confirm that you're not going to damage your new radar detector. And now this technique would work on any radar detector that takes 12 volt power. As long as it's a 12 volt powered radar detector, any brand, quality, whatever it is, if it's powered by 12 volts, you can take your wire up to this dome light and be able to power it and have a nice clean, no wires look coming down your dash, and leave your cigarette lighter open. So I actually ordered a dash camera, and I'm going to be making a video pretty soon once all those pieces come in. It's going to be very similar, taking apart the dome again. As you can see, that was pretty easy. I'm going to have to tap power into there, but the difference with the dash cam is it runs off 5 volts, so I'm waiting for a little power converter to come in so that we don't fry the dash cam. And it'll also be a nice clean install. We'll have the dash cam right next to our radar detector, and then that will be all decked out by the mirror. I hope you found this helpful, and that's it for this video. And I hope your guys' installs go well if you decide to do it this way. If anybody wants to know where I got the kits on Amazon, you can always comment, and I'll try to get to it as soon as I can and get you the the links to those kits. I might even put them in the description. So, all right, thank you guys, and I'll see you next time.